My name is Emma Carter and I'm 37 years old. 20 years ago, my parents called me a disgrace and threw me out of their house like I was nothing. Today, those same people stood in the marble lobby of Riverstone Memorial Hospital in downtown Chicago, demanding to meet the world-renowned heart surgeon they'd seen on TV. My son, Dr. Ethan Carter. They came dressed like royalty, my mother clutching her Burberry trench-like armor, my father checking his Rolex every 5 seconds, hoping to impress the very grandson they had once erased. But they had no idea what was waiting for them in the will of the woman who saved me when they wouldn't. Before I tell you their final karma, please take a few seconds to like and subscribe to this channel, only if you believe in stories where justice finally comes full circle. And tell me where you're watching from and what time it is, because I really do read every comment. Now then, let me take you back to that October night in 2005 when my whole world collapsed. I was 17, sitting in my parents' living room, the one with imported marble floors and a chandelier that could blind you, holding a positive pregnancy test in my trembling hands. My mother, Catherine Carter, spoke first. "You're lying," she hissed, her voice like broken glass. "No daughter of mine would be so ordinary." But the second test confirmed it, and the third one did too. My father didn't shout, that would have been too emotional for him. He simply walked to my room, opened my closet, and came back with my suitcase, the one they bought for my college tour. He set it by the front door. "You have 10 minutes, he said, adjusting his Yale class ring. "Take what fits. Leave your house key on the table." "Dad, please," I whispered, my voice breaking. "You're not our daughter anymore." He turned the family portrait on the mantel face down, the one where we wore matching white shirts and fake smiles. My mother stood near the grand piano, examining her manicure. "Don't call us, don't come back, we'll tell everyone you're studying abroad." And just like that, I was gone. The boy, Ryan Blake, the one who'd sworn he loved me forever, had already been accepted to Stanford. His parents had lawyers, connections, a reputation to protect. He blocked my number the moment I told him I was pregnant. I packed what I could, some clothes, a photo of my grandmother, and the $200 I'd been saving for prom. When the door slammed behind me, it wasn't just the sound of rejection. It was the sound of my entire identity shattering. That night I slept in Grant Park under the gazebo where Ryan had first kissed me. I thought maybe I'd freeze to death, and honestly, part of me didn't care. I woke up to someone gently shaking my shoulder, not a cop, not a stranger looking for trouble, a woman in her 60s wearing a gray wool coat and a soft smile. "Sweetheart, you're going to freeze out here," she said. That was the first time I heard Victoria Moore's voice. She had been walking her elderly poodle, Winston, at dawn, something she'd done every morning since her husband died. She looked at me, my swollen eyes, my cheap backpack, my trembling hands, and something in her broke. Or maybe something healed. "I'm fine," I lied through chattering teeth. "No, you're not." Her gaze dropped to my stomach, barely showing but already telling a story. "How far along?" 8 weeks, I whispered. When I started to cry, really cry, not the quiet, polite tears I'd been holding back, she sat beside me on that cold bench and wrapped her arms around me. "Come on," she said softly. Winston and I could use some company for breakfast. Her car smelled like lavender and old books. The heated seats felt like heaven. She drove us north to Lincoln Park, to a brownstone so big it could have been a boutique hotel. "I lost my daughter," she said quietly, leading me inside. She was pregnant too. A car accident took them both. The room she showed me had been prepared, not for me but for someone. There was a crib in the corner, still wrapped in plastic. Maternity clothes with tags still on hung neatly in the closet. "This is yours now," she said. "No questions, no conditions. Everyone deserves a second chance." "Why?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She looked at a photo on the dresser, a young woman with her same green eyes. "Because my daughter would have wanted me to." That night, I slept in a real bed for the first time in days. Winston curled up at my feet like a guardian, and for the first time since my parents slammed that door, I felt something I thought I'd lost forever. Safety. Victoria didn't just give me a roof, she gave me a reason to breathe. While my parents told their country club friends I was studying in London, I was washing dishes in Victoria's kitchen, learning about loyalty, dignity, and hard work. She owned 3 restaurants. Moore's on Michigan Avenue, the Velvet Spoon, and the Terrace Cafe near Northwestern University. She started me as a hostess, then a cashier, then a trainee manager. "You're not just working here, Emma," she said one night, watching me balance the books. "You're learning how to build an empire." When Ethan was born on a snowy night in February, Victoria held my hand through 16 hours of labor. She whispered strength into my ear when I had none left. When he came into the world, she cut the cord herself. "He's brilliant," she said, looking into his newborn eyes. "I can see it already." And she was right. Ethan walked at 9 months, read at 3-year-old. By 5, he was correcting the waiter's math at Moore's. While I studied for my GED at night, Ethan absorbed the world like it was oxygen. Victoria would say, "He's proof that love, not blood, builds family," and she lived by that. Over the next 2 decades, everything changed, but nothing truly did. Victoria became my mother in every way that mattered. Ethan grew into a prodigy, eventually getting early admission to Harvard Medical School. I still remember the day the acceptance letter came. I cried, not because I was sad, but because I knew the girl who once slept on a park bench had just raised a Harvard doctor. Years later, Ethan made national news. 25-year-old surgeon becomes youngest chief of cardiac surgery in Illinois. His photo was everywhere: surgical scrubs, confident smile, proud eyes, and with it came the ghosts. That morning, my restaurant email inbox pinged. Subject: from your parents. Inside was a message from Carter and Associates, their corporate email. Dear Emma, we recently learned of Ethan's incredible achievements. As his grandparents, we believe it's time to reconnect. Family should always stay together. I stared at it for a long time, then I laughed. Family, they threw me away like trash. When Daniel Brooks, Victoria's lawyer and longtime friend, found me sitting in my office shaking, I told him what happened. They want him now that he's successful, I said bitterly. He nodded. Then we LL make sure they regret it. And as he spoke, I realized this wasn't just my story anymore. It was Victoria's, Ethan's, ours, and karma was finally coming full circle. It started with an email. Then came the phone calls, then came the gifts. Within a week of Ethan's story going viral, my parents, Charles and Catherine Carter, had transformed from ghosts of my trauma into relentless visitors of my present. It began subtly. A flower delivery to Moore's on Michigan Avenue, the restaurant I'd inherited from Victoria. The card said, "Congratulations, Dr. Carter, from your loving grandparents." Ethan brought it home that night, confused. "Mom, did you tell anyone I work at Riverstone?" I froze. "Why?" He handed me the card. The handwriting was unmistakable, my mother's perfect loops, the same ones that had once signed me out of their lives. My hands trembled as I read it. The words looked elegant, but all I saw was 20 years of absence. "Return it," I said quietly. "Are you sure?" Ethan asked. "They're just flowers." "No," I whispered. "They're bait." A few nights later, they showed up in person at the Velvet Spoon. They'd made a reservation under fake names, but I recognized my mother's emerald earrings the second she walked in. I was greeting customers when she turned to me with that same polished smile she used at charity galas. "Emma," she said, like she was greeting a long-lost friend, not the daughter she'd exiled. My father sat across from her, menu unopened. "We need to talk about Ethan," he said flatly. "You need to leave," I replied. The restaurant went silent. Even the jazz music seemed to pause. "Please don't make a scene," my mother whispered, as if she hadn't made a scene out of my life 2 decades ago. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "You made your choice 20 years ago," I said. "Stick to it." They left, but their silence was short-lived. Soon after, packages started arriving at Riverstone Memorial Hospital, addressed directly to Dr. Ethan Carter. A Rolex, a Mont Blanc pen. A first-edition medical textbook worth thousands, each one signed, "Your proud grandparents." Ethan came home with one of the boxes. "Mom, who are these people? Should I be worried?" My throat tightened. "Return them." "All of them, but they know where I work," he said quietly. That night I couldn't sleep. I walked through the empty restaurant, my footsteps echoing on the marble. It was happening again, the same manipulation, the same control. Only this time they were coming for my son. Then came Ryan Blake, the boy who'd vanished the day I told him I was pregnant. Now a man, older, slicker, broke. He called at 2 o'clock in the morning. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won over disgust. "Emma," he said softly, "it's me." 20 years and he still thought it meant something. "What do you want, Ryan?" "I saw the news about Ethan. He's brilliant." He paused. "Our son," the words felt like poison. "You don't get to say our, not after what you did." "I was a kid," he said quickly. "My parents threatened to cut me off, make me homeless. Welcome to my side of the story." He went quiet. Then his voice turned small. "I just want to know him. I lost everything, my company, my marriage. I want a chance to make things right." I almost hung up until he said the next part. "Your parents reached out to me. They think I can help. They want to rebuild the family, and they're offering me compensation to convince you." "Compensation," I repeated, my voice icy. He didn't answer. That was all I needed to hear. The next morning, I walked into Daniel's office with my phone still shaking in my hand. "They're working together," I said. "My parents and Ryan, they're trying to buy their way into Ethan's life." Daniel listened, jaw tightening. "Good," he said finally. "Good," I snapped. "They're manipulating us." "Exactly," he said, "which means they're leaving evidence." He leaned back, eyes sharp. "Forward everything, calls, messages, emails. If they want a war, they've just declared one on paper." That night, Daniel went through Victoria's old files. She'd left detailed legal provisions just in case this ever happened. "Victoria saw this coming," he said quietly, pulling out a folder labeled Carter Contingency. Inside were copies of the documents my parents had signed 20 years ago. Legal relinquishment of all parental rights and responsibilities, not just to me but to any of my future children. It was their signature, bold and permanent, their way of saying I didn't exist. And now it was the weapon that could destroy everything they were trying to reclaim.